can't let myself go down on the floor because I won't be able to get up, so I'm just going to try and get on the bed. This is ridiculous. Oh. Okay, now I've just got to adjust the camera angle with one arm. So it's Wednesday the 18th of July 2018. My hip is absolutely ridiculous. It's still blatantly dislocated and looks nothing like the one on the other side. I showed it to the carer this morning and she agreed and said that I need to get onto the hospital or something to get them to try and help me, but I know from past experience that they don't have a clue what EDS is and they don't really know how to put dislocations back. Anyway, this morning my carer came in again, helped me shower, brushed my hair, got my clothes on, which was nice, and she picked out these zebra leggings for me and the matching zebra print socks, which I thought was sweet. But I'm really grateful to her because she's been careful to record everything that happens. She said to me, look, this is an assessment, so I'm going to make sure that I record all the stuff I've done for you. And when she came in, I was on the floor because I fell asleep with my medication box on the bed here, knocked it off, and then got down on the floor to try and pick them all up. I managed to find them all, but then I realised I couldn't get back up off the floor. So I had to sit there for about half an hour until she came in, kept trying to get up and still couldn't, and she sort of gave me a shove and I got into the wheelchair finally. So I'm not going to make that mistake again. I obviously can't sit on the floor, which is something that I've been used to doing because of my POTS and the fact that I start fainting. The compression socks are helping though. Having them put on first thing in the morning has made such a huge difference to how I feel in terms of my brain fog and things being all muddled. So even though I'm in a lot more physical pain and have a lot of dislocations, mentally I'm still happier. But I do think I'm going to probably have to go down to the emergency department at the hospital later today if my sofa gets delivered before they close, because the local one here is only open until 5 or 6 p.m. But I can't get to the other one further away in the city now that I've moved. It would be about 3 buses to get there and I can't handle that, really. It'd just be beyond exhausting and they probably wouldn't help me and then I'd have to get 3 buses home. Right, I didn't finish unpacking my boxes, but what I have done is move them so they're all shoved down the side of the bed now, which means that I've got a space here for my new sofa, and that's going to be delivered today. I say new, it's a second-hand sofa that I got from the charity shop, and I really can't wait to see it again because I've kind of forgotten what it looked like. I know it was green, so they're supposed to deliver between 1 and 6, and if they come up 1 or 2 I can still get myself down to the hospital and get my hip looked at. If they come later, then I can't. So fingers crossed they turn up early. I might give them a call actually. Maybe if I explain that I need to go to the hospital, maybe they'll do my drop off a bit earlier in the afternoon. So I'm not going to try and do anything else apart from that today because I am really in agony and things are just making it worse. So I think I'm just gonna sort of have a lie down and read a book. Bye bye for now. Hello, so my new sofa just arrived and it perfectly fits in the space I had for it, which is between the bathroom and the kitchen door, and these two guys came and brought it in, and they were so sweet because they moved everything for me so they could get it in when they saw what kind of state I was in, the fact I was in the wheelchair, and I had to sign the document with my left hand and it was just a scribble. But anyway, I'm really happy with it. So what I'm going to do now is go down to A&E at the hospital because my hip is just becoming quite unbearable and I want to see if there's anything they can do. Probably not based on my previous experiences, but I think it's worth a try in the absence of anything else. So I'm going to get off and get ready to do that now, and I'll update you later. Bye bye. Hello, it's about 5 AM and I've had a pretty awful evening / night. I went back to A&E because obviously my hip and leg was still all twisted, and they said that if it was like that to come back in. So I did, and they told me last time not to have left it 4 days and that was a bad idea and made it harder to make it go back straight. So anyway, they did take me in quite quickly, and a doctor came and saw me, and he was quite a young guy, relatively newly qualified I think, and I liked him, but he had a bunch of other patients to go and see, which meant that I was just lying there for hours on a hospital trolley with nothing being done. Eventually someone came with the gas and air, and they'd also brought a brace which was supposed to keep my leg straight, so I asked if it went on my hip, because the thing is, it's the hip that's the problem, and the doctor explained that there's no way to immobilise a hip. Even in the case of someone breaking their hip, it would just be pinned and then they wouldn't be immobilised or anything, they'd just be told not to move it. So I said, well, that's okay, but you know, I'm not twisting mine or anything, it's doing it on its own. And so he just went ahead and gave me the laughing gas, and I was like on another planet laughing away, and he'd managed to get my leg straight and I was really happy. And then he put the brace on, but then the second he put the brace on, I felt my body like twisting, and it was because the leg had been held straight, it was like twisting at the hip, and like my body was just sort of bending down on that side, and it was just stuck in a horrible cramp somewhere else. So basically my, like the side of my body and like my butt was just lifting up off the bed, and I kept forcing it down and it kept immediately lifting up again, and I just couldn't get it to even lie against the bed. And he said, oh, I'll come back in a minute when the nitrous oxide has worn off, which he did. And I explained to him that I was really upset that although it had partly worked in the sense that it had kept my leg straight and stopped it bending at the knee where the hip was twisting, it hadn't really solved the problem because it had just moved the twisted area to somewhere else. So he said basically, I don't know what this is, we don't know what this is, aside from the fact that it's your Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, we can't work out why your body is doing this. And so I'm sorry, but even if you stayed in hospital you wouldn't get any treatment, so I can't allow you to stay, so you'll have to leave. And I'll get some nurses to help you get into your wheelchair. And then he left, and all the doctors left, and it was the end of the evening by then. It must have been about 11 o'clock. So then the nurse came and said, can you get in your wheelchair? And I said, well, I don't see how, because I've got one leg immobilised straight, one dodgy shoulder on the same side, and the other side of my body isn't affected, so, you know, I can basically use one leg and one arm. And they helped me get into the chair, and then I tried to drive round to the entrance just through the corridor to leave, and I was just really tilted in the chair and couldn't hold myself upright, and it was pulling my neck over to such an extreme degree that I honestly thought that my neck was gonna snap, and I couldn't take the pain. And I can take a lot of pain, but this was unbearable, and I felt sure that it was injuring me more. So the nurses looked at me and said, "You can't go home like that, can you? How are you even going to get in bed?" And I said, "I know." But then those nurses disappeared, they had to go home, and then there was another set of nurses that appeared, and they sort of said, "Oh, we'll ask, but I don't think there's anything that you can do." And then they came back and said, "There's nothing we can do, you need to leave." And at that point I'd been trying to hold myself up in the chair with my good arm, and I was in so much pain and just so weak that I sort of slid down out of the chair onto the floor and managed to grab the cushion off my chair and put it under my head, and I was just lying on the hospital floor in the middle of the corridor, just in absolute agony. And these nurses were like, "Why are you on the floor, Harriet? Why are you doing this?" And I said, "Because the pain is unbearable."